All right, aspiring metalheads, do you know what tool this is? Is it A, metal wedge, B, a flattening hammer, or C, a weighted mallet? The answer to that and a tour of one of Toledo Twisted Iron's most famous pieces, Echo, when we return to 419 by Design. What tool is this? If you guessed a flattening hammer, you're right.
Okay, so this tool I'm holding right here is called a flattening hammer. We actually made this flattening hammer. Blacksmiths use flattening hammers to help flatten out large sheets of metal the best they can, because sometimes when you start hammering on stuff, it tends to warp and do weird things, especially when you're heating. So that's what this comes into play for. So what you do is you basically put it down on the metal, and then you hit the top of this and it starts flattening out, you know, all the rough spots in the metal. But yeah, sometimes you can buy these, and sometimes, or you could either make them like we do here. We make a lot of our own tools. So that's what a flattening hammer is. Echo is the old smokestacks from the Toledo skyline, from the old Edison plant, which the Edison plant was it was designed by Daniel Burnham, he's a very big cityscape designer, really world famous. Echo came into play. ProMedica was tearing down the old smokestacks, and they were looking to want to reuse them into a sculpture. So they came to me. We did another project with them called Volo. So they came to me and they asked me, they said, hey, we're interested in possibly building a sculpture out of the old smokestacks. What do you think? And I said, sure, let's give this a shot. So we came up with some ideas and some concepts, and you know, some of them were like small sculptures around the park, and some of them were just like, you know, just other little things, or maybe even just using little parts of the smokestacks and using brand new steel for the rest of them. And then I finally said, no, we need to make a statement for the city of Toledo. We need a Chicago bean for the city of Toledo. We need something that's going to be profound and really make a statement, you know. So then we decided to go on that concept, and that's how we got to where we're at today, you know, with this. One of the things that we were looking at while we were building it was we wanted to make it playful and interactive, and just something where it's fun, where people can just enjoy and want to take pictures around and just have a good time with. Okay, so the process in Echo, we had to sit down and kind of figure out how we're going to use this old material and make it look brand new again. And then also the other part of it was getting the stacks off the site, and then on top of that we had to like figure out how we're going to reinforce them to make sure they can stand like they are today, and especially on the angles that we're putting them on. It's like there's a lot of, you know, a lot of engineering that need to be involved. So I had to go through and kind of figure out how to strengthen these things, how to make it all work, and how to build the foundations, and it was a pretty interesting thing. So, and then on top of that, the transportation, everything, and then just the overall design as well, as how are we going to design it to where it looks aesthetically pleasing, and then also tie in with the landscape the way it needs to tie in, because you have so many verticals, the straight lines all over the city here as the cityscape, and to break up those lines, how are we going to go about that? So that's why, you know, we kind of came up with this concept of almost like a giant slinky, if you will, but it's more like a Echo design. So that's why we made the rings elliptical, to kind of create that fun feel and create a dimension that is different from anything else in the landscape, but also it ties in with the landscape really nicely. So anything, well, there's been a few like little hiccups here and there when we're developing the piece. One of the biggest challenges was trying to flip these things so we could weld on both sides, you know, and work on both sides of these things. Because when we started working on them, we just put them up flat in the shop, and then we had to pull them out and flip them and then work on the other side. So I had to create these jigs to like clamp on each side of these things and lift it up and flip it around every time we had to work on it. So as soon as they left the shop, they were painted, ready, and then they brought them over here, and we grabbed a crane and put them in place. The biggest part about Echo is the outside of the rings are the old smokestacks that set into the skyline for a long time. The sculpture being in place today is kind of just representing the present of like where Toledo is going and how this gonna how it's gonna resonate in the future. And the future part about this is just how Echo is gonna inspire the future and make things grow in the city of Toledo.